We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything, and I mean everything. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. If you want to support this rebel outpost, and this is the rebel outpost of all college football. If you want to support the rebel outpost, the home for the true college football sickos, with a donation, hit the $ where you make your comment, and I'll get to super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody. Come on into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. We have got a stacked show. I know it's Sunday. Sunday, July 13th. We are 7 Saturdays away from week 1. It's the dog days of summer, especially for college football fans and college football YouTube channels. Except for this one. Things are getting more and more and more interesting as we attempt to provide you the best peek around the corner that there is in college football. Before I go on, we are going to be using the word allegedly, allegedly, allegedly for the back end of this monologue. I don't think we really need to use it, but we're going to use it. There's a lot of, there's a lot of money out there. A lot of money. A lot of money out in the Middle East. A lot of money. And the fat guy from Minnesota, when he sits in the studio, he is very fortunate if he's got 2 quarters rubbing against each other in his front pocket. So I am no match. I am no match. None whatsoever. I can be easy. I don't have a price. You know, what was that pro wrestler who said everybody has a price? I don't remember him, but we at Peek Around the Corner, we do not have a price. You cannot buy us off. I am too poor and too stupid to be paid off. And we are too authentic. We have been poking. We have been prodding. A door has been opened to us. There is a major player. A major player that is involved, not with the whole shebang, not with everything that is going on with private equity and private capital, but for a lot of it. And that is the United Arab Emirates. Allegedly. I'm not saying, I ain't saying that there is not involvement with money coming from other places in the world, including Europe, including some places in the United States. I'm not saying money's not getting involved or trying to get involved in Saudi Arabia. But a door has been opened to us. The door leads us to the United Arab Emirates. And before we go on any further, I might have a problem with a certain private capital deal. I might have a problem with a certain private equity deal. When it happens, I am going to let whatever is reported out in front of us, and I'm going to do my own evaluation. And whatever that evaluation is, most of you are going to yell at me, because that's what we do here. I've got no problem. I might have a problem with the deal, but I've got no problem with United Arab Emirates money. I got no problem with it. On the surface, I got no problem with it. I really don't. It's their money. Whosever money this is, I'm not even going to name the people involved. We do have a couple of names, but I'm not even going to name them. No, you can get that from somewhere else if you want it. We're providing you information that nobody else, I don't think, has provided. Maybe they have. I don't think so. We're not going to name names. We are going to use the word allegedly. And if you don't see me again, well, you know why. But I've got no problem on the surface if the money is coming from UAE or anywhere else. I'm even though I was called Commie Pinko Red Flugar last week, I'm a capitalist. If you want to invest in something and somebody is willing to take the investment, all right, I might like the deal, I might not like the deal. Risk-benefit analysis. But if it's, I said it, if Cody Campbell wants to spend his money on Texas Tech, God bless him. I've got no problem with it. But when we do this work and we find more information, and we're going to have to go down a road this evening talking pretty vague, general information, just for you guys to just digest it for a moment. And then later on, when other reports come, maybe we can dig deeper into it. We will be able to dig deeper into it. But a lot of times I will put out something, giving people a peek around the corner. There's a great example of a story that we put out early at the beginning of the year, where we said it was going to be the year of Bubba Cunningham, where we illustrated, we got information from the North Carolina Money Perch that there was going to be a stake put in the ground in August of this summer. The North Carolina Money Perch said that dissolution theory is going to come alive. North Carolina is going to put a stake in the ground. North Carolina doesn't want Florida State, doesn't want Clemson in the courts. Florida State and Clemson know that. North Carolina is rattling the cages behind the scenes. North Carolina wants options. North Carolina wants options. North Carolina wants options. They want to be able to possibly look at private capital, private equity. They can't do that in the world in which Clemson and Florida State, the two most valuable brands in the ACC, are in the courts, and the ACC are in the courts against Clemson and Florida State. I'm hoping you all remember that, right? Right? I hope you all remember that, our reporting of that. Well, it just so happens that North Carolina has gotten everything that it's wanted. It ain't the end of the story. But North Carolina has gotten everything they wanted. And now North Carolina is looking at options to get everything they need. They didn't have to put the stake in the ground this August. They got everything they wanted. Everything we talked about. They've got their options. They're looking at now they can explore everything. And they are. They are. Florida State and Clemson are happy as can be. They won a massive victory. No stake has to be put in the ground. Because they got what they didn't have to go. I almost used a term there that I can't really use, but so we're putting on another story here. One particular money train leads us to the United Arab Emirates. Allegedly. And we are going to talk about it. Not that it's going to be much of a story here on July 13th. Not that it's going to be much of a story on July 13th. July 14th. July 15th, as we are in the SEC Media Days. You are not going to hear the phrase United Arab Emirates with college football, maybe even for the rest of this year. Possibly. But I think you're going to hear it. And we will get to it. But we got a big old show. Not even having to do with UAE. We've got Nebraska is under the PATC spotlight. But they're not going to melt under the spotlight. We gave everybody a sneak preview. We went through an article about Nebraska 2 days ago on a Friday, I believe. Yeah, a Friday live show. where we had the Florida Gators under the spotlight and we told everybody Nebraska was going to be the next team. I like this Nebraska squad. I love Dylan Raiola. There's a couple of parts that Nebraska I'm a little worried about. But overall, they should finish 8-4 or 9-3. Last year I had Nebraska at 8-4. They finished 6-6. But this year I think Nebraska is a better football team this year than they were last year. And it is quite obvious. To me, it's quite obvious. So we're going to do the Nebraska Spotlight today. Don Scruggs, Raiola is overrated. You know what? I understand what you're coming from, Don, because Raiola was committed to Georgia and then transferred, so you're feeling a little upset. This is the place for you to be. Don Scruggs, this is the place for the Georgia Bulldogs to be. When Dylan Raiola is going to be cranking it up in year 2 at Nebraska-Lincoln, and Don Scruggs has to watch Gunnar Stockton, this is the place you want to be. We will be here for you. You can cry on our shoulder, Don Scruggs. I got a big old shoulder. You can cry right on it. Dylan Raiola, we're going to get to it. Dylan Raiola as a true freshman. A true freshman. Who, by the way, besides Fedoni, the tight end, it wasn't like Dylan Raiola was sitting on all this tremendous developed talent on the outside. He's got it this year. And still, Dylan Raiola, as a true freshman, completed 67.1% of his passes. You tell me when a true freshman walks out there and completes 67.1% of his passes. You tell me that he's overrated. You expect Raiola to keep his commitments. Well, so do we all, baby. So do we all. In fact, we had a lot of people in the PATC family predict that Dylan Raiola would be out of Lincoln after 1 year because he's never stayed at any place for 2 straight years, including his high school years. But he's here. Year number 2 in Lincoln, Nebraska. Okay. We're also going to set the table in a very good article written CBS Sports. We're going to go through it real quick. We're going to set the table for the SEC, the Southeastern Conference. We're setting the table for the media days coming this week. And the fat guy from Minnesota. The fat guy from Minnesota. The moron that sits in front of you every single day, almost every single day, every single week, 52 weeks of the year. The fat guy from Minnesota. I have found the college football playoff solution. This genius brain of mine, the great compromiser, not the great communist, the great compromiser, just like Henry Clay, the senator, the Secretary of State out of the state of Kentucky, the fat guy from Minnesota, the Flugarian Empire. I have come out with a solution, the great compromise. Is it fair? Is it completely equitable? No. However, I think this plan that I'm going to present to you on this YouTube channel, I've already presented it on X, but now I'm going to present it on the YouTube channel, and I'm going to explain the reasoning behind this brilliance of mine. Number one, I think it has a chance to get everybody on board, which is the most important part of it. Number two, I do think it increases the value of the college football regular season. Number three, there is no number three. All you need is number one and number two. Commissioners, Tony Petitti, Jim Phillips, Brett Yormark, Greg Sankey. Hopefully, if you are not watching this live show tonight, you've got an assistant or an assistant of an assistant or an assistant of an assistant of an assistant watching this live show. Take the notes, put down the notes, gather together after this live show and get this plan done. All right, let's go. Let's do a roll call here. We got a fun show. We got a very interesting show, a very unique show in all the college football YouTube channel land. MBM is in the house. Go Pokes. Skaven, yes. Skaven is very nervous right now. So everybody's got to be everybody's got to be kind. Everybody's got to be kind to Skaven, yes. Because I'm going to say some positive things about Nebraska, which I normally do not do. So Skaven, yes, he's got this fear that it's Greg the Cold again this year. That it's Greg the Cold again.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
AMAC. R.I.P. Big
Yeah, I'm
Red.
about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Got a buildup of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place.
MBM. Well, there goes Nebraska season. Wrong, MBM. Wrong. It's Greg the Gold in 2025. Let's go. Skaven, yes, is nervous, but there's nothing to be nervous about. I got you, Skaven. I got you, Cornhuskers. I got you, Big Red. It's going to be a breakthrough season for the people in Lincoln. Don Scruggs, I can tell already this show is going to be bipolar as hell. Don Scruggs, the fat guy from Minnesota, is steady like a bean, baby. Enough of that. Enough of that. Scathing, yes, yes. Don't worry about it. I gotcha. This spotlight, we are going to be 100% correct. Just like every other spotlight we've done, we've nailed them all. The people are going to find out. The people are going to find out. Don Scruggs is in the house. The Georgia Bulldogs already give me a bad time. The LSU Tiger, Ryan Brooks, USC, Jose Amack, Stormy Cyclone, the Big Lubbock, Kayla Ramirez, Mr. Buckeye Thomas, Bimba 75-79, Michigan. Karan Shakar is in the house. Christopher Hooter is in the house. Coy is here. Heartbreak 25, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Nate is here. Morris Simmons, Mr. Seminole, let the dominoes fall. Florida Man is in the house. Big Gun Shop, Florida Man. Who else is here? Expansion Crush. How many Big Ten schools have campuses in UAE? I got no idea if there is any. Mick Stevens is here. Outlaw Skis is here. Steel Austin. The Terrapin D5 Terps is in the house. Holy smokes. Chef Mall. Greg with the receipts. Bo Weevil is here. CFB Plus. Nice to see you, CFB Plus. Jeff Morgan, what is up, Mountaineers? Amazing Blue. Hello, everyone. Who else is here? Edward the Auburn Tiger. Thanks for coming on, Edward. I do appreciate it so very much. We did an Auburn spotlight last week. The Auburn Tigers, Eric Singleton, Cam Coleman, Jackson Arnold, Aldrich, the big old defensive end. Yeah, we went through the Auburn Tiger football schedule. I hope you saw it, Edward. Rodney Richborg, the defending, reigning, undisputed PATC College Football Trivia Champion is in the house. Go Tigers. Go Tigers. Who else is here? Justin Lucas. Do you get the ACC network in Minnesota? Yes, I do. I've got it. I've got it on the Comcast. I've always had it. I watch football, ACC network. I want to say that we did a watch party 2 years ago. We did the North Carolina State Wolfpack watch party, and that is where I fell in love with the team, and that is where I sunk the team. And I think that game was on the ACC network. I could be wrong. I think the spring football game, North Carolina State, not this spring, last spring, I think we did a watch party using the ACC network. Is there something going on the ACC network? Let me know, Justin. Let me know. None is in the house. Carlton Hurdle is here. Michigan State, Northwestern have campuses there, and Duke. I did not know that. I did not know that. I did not know that. We are going to get to that expansion crush. Let me we are going to get to the UAE, and at the back half of the monologue, and it's going to be extremely vague. It's why it's only one of many, many stories we're doing today. I'm presenting to you all. It's a dot of information. Carry this with you after you leave our program. And when the reports start coming at later this year or next year, there is very good reason to believe that UAE allegedly is going to be part of the story. Allegedly. Campuses being at you, I didn't even look at it. I'm only relaying to you what a door was open to us. But after you said that, Expansion Crush, Mr. Hoosier, a very good friend of mine, we are going to go deep into this here at PATC. No one else is going to talk about it, but we are going to go deep into it. And of course, that's going to be included. Thank you, Expansion Crush. We are only going to relay to you what a door has been opened to us. We're going to be very vague. And most of the information is very vague, not all of it. We've got names, I'm not going to say them here, on a YouTube channel in which I can be easily tracked down. Again, if I don't show up any place tomorrow, if I don't do a live show tomorrow, it's been a pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure. I do know that Minnesota has connections in Mexico, South Korea, and they also have a connection in Sweden. I'm not saying that. Greg the Vague. Okay, let's get to it. We've got lots of stuff to get through. Ryan Willie, holy smokes. Greg the Iceberg. Raiola is way overrated. Dink and dunk passer. Boy, you guys. It is a good thing. It is a good thing I'm going to be Greg the Gold this year, so I can set the record straight. So I can give you guys a true peek around the corner. Because Ryan Willie and Don Scruggs, you all are going to be walking into a buzzsaw this year. Dylan Raiola. Thank you, Ryan Willie. Appreciate it. Appreciate the membership. 19 months. 19 months. Holy smokes. Thank you for starting us off today. I do appreciate it. You are hereby officially knighted. Mr. Ryan Willie officially knighted cloak and dagger. Thanks for coming on in. Appreciate it. Ghana, India, Mexico, Germany, Thailand, China are Indiana University Partnership locations. AMAC, the Red Raiders in Spain and Costa Rica. BYU football, Raiola breaks down under pressure. Okay, let's get into it. Let's start out. Let's go. PATC Spotlight. The Nebraska Cornhuskers. True freshman Dylan Raiola last year. He was a true freshman. Last year, he was playing behind, again, I talked about it for 3 straight years. Not a good offensive line. Not a good offensive line. Nebraska went with the same guys, basically, for 3 straight years, and they were not all that good. This year, Nebraska's got pretty much an entire different offensive line, except for Turner Corcoran, the left guard. But they've got a lot of new bodies. I can't pronounce the guy's last name, but Teddy, the big right tackle. Hopefully he's healthy. Then they got a bunch of new guys. And Nebraska's offensive line cannot be worse. I think they're going to be better. Dylan Raiola is actually going to have time to throw the ball. But get a load of this. Dylan Raiola did what he had to do. What he really needed to do. In that he had a full season last year. He played pretty much all the snaps. He got a lot of reps, a lot of snaps, all the reps in practice. Dylan Raiola is set up to have a remarkable sophomore year. Over 2,800 yards passing last year. 13-11 TDs, interceptions. Not all that good. Sort of like DJ Legway, who had 12 touchdowns and 9 interceptions in his true freshman season. But DJ Legway, freshman quarterback last year for Florida, he did not complete 60% of his passes. Dylan Raiola completed 67.1% completion percentage. A remarkable achievement as a true freshman quarterback. 129.9 quarterback rating. Now he doesn't have the legs. That minus 65 yards rushing. Now remember, every time, I don't do it always, but every time I post yards rushing for a quarterback, that takes sacks. Sacks in college football are used in the quarterback rushing yards. So Dylan Raiola is not a guy that's going to use his legs that often. Okay? But that is pretty good. That's really good numbers for a true freshman. Go around the college football world as a true freshman quarterback, you're not going to see these good of numbers. Now, what Dylan Raiola has this year, over not just last year, but the last 5, 6, 7 years at Nebraska, he's actually got, I would consider, very good wideouts who are ready to produce, not just to be developed. The Nebraska's had a lot of wide receivers who come in with high rankings, but they just don't develop. They're not very good, whatever. And when they had one, Robinson, he went to transfer to Kentucky. So the wideouts, I think, are going to be pretty good for Nebraska this year. We're going to get to them in a moment. There are two things that, to me, are the big hurdles for Nebraska in 2025. One of them is the running back position. Now, Nebraska has not had a true RB1 for a very long time. They haven't had a bell cow for a very long time. Scott Frost never gave anybody a chance to be the cowbell. Never, 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 never. He never gave the rock to what, he never let any of his running backs lather up, unless he was doing 15 design runs for the starting quarterback, who ultimately got every Nebraska quarterback hurt. Emmett Johnson, Skaven, yes, and all the Cornhusker fans that are watching this, I am not a believer that Emmett Johnson is an RB1. He had a good season last year. He's really good out of the backfield. He's a great pass catcher. And statistically, he had a good season. So, I completely understand why Nebraska thinks he is RB1 in the Big Ten. I don't think he is. I don't think he's going to be one of the top stars running backs in the Big Ten. I think he might have a pretty good season this year. But the problem is, who is behind Emmett Johnson? The depth at the running back position, I don't see it. It isn't proven. I don't know. They'll probably got some big-time, high-ranking running back who's a freshman. But again, look, the running back room, to me, is a concern for people at Lincoln. I don't think they have many concerns, but one of them is the running back room. And I will get to the other concern later on in the spotlight. What is not a concern? what is not a concern. Nebraska Rascal, thanks for coming on in. Greg, I agree. So we do have a Nebraska Cornhusker fans that actually agrees with the golden gopher, the fat guy from Minnesota. But what Nebraska doesn't need to worry about, in my opinion, they've actually got wide receivers who have produced. And they're coming on in ready to elevate and ready to elevate with a quarterback who's going to elevate to another level. The passing game at Nebraska is going to be really, really good. In fact, think about all the teams in the Big Ten this year. You've got Underwood at Michigan, right? And Michigan is hoping that he has a true freshman season that resembles Dylan Raiola. You've got Sayin at Ohio State. Drew Aller, okay, I don't know. Yeah, sure. Penn State's going to run the ball a lot more than Nebraska, I believe. I think Dylan Raiola is going to lead the league in passing yards. Am I crazy for saying that? Maybe I am. But he's got receivers this year. I think he's going to have a better offensive line this year. Look at Ja'Cory Barney. Last year, freshman, 55 receptions. A lot of bubble screens, a lot of flat passes on the sideline, and now they're ready to explore more with Ja'Cory Barney, who actually catches the ball. He doesn't drop it. 55 receptions, 447. You don't think that Barney and Raiola are going to have a stronger connection in year two? Yeah. He's going to have a stronger season in year two. Deshaun Singleton. Now, this is where I get a little bit... Okay, so this is the reason why I don't have Nebraska not quite challenging to get to the college football playoffs. It could be next year. It probably will be next year. If everything goes fine, if the bottom doesn't drop out, if Dylan Raiola comes back for his third year, if Nebraska finds something in the running back room, which they might, they got a whole bunch of young talent on that team. I think next year could be the year that Nebraska challenges to get to the college football playoffs. This year, I don't think they're going to quite get there. Look, they lost Tony White. You guys know how much I love Tony White. I saw Tony White bring up that Nebraska defense, elevate that Nebraska defense, elevate the black shirts at Lincoln. I saw Nebraska confuse the hell out of teams. I saw Nebraska coming to Minneapolis, 2 years ago, and the Gophers were very fortunate to win that football game at the very end. But 58 minutes of the 60-minute football game, the Golden Gophers were confused as hell because of Tony White 3-3-5 defense and the way they executed it. And by the way, Tony White's going to Florida State. People in Tallahassee are going to enjoy watching that defense progress throughout the season. I've got worries about Nebraska this year. I got it. People like John Butler, the new defensive coordinator. I get it. But again, I don't quite see the superstar. Javon Wright coming back for his 7th year. He could have been a superstar. I don't see him. I don't see that superstar. Riley Von Poppel, the defensive lineman. I don't consider Buford a good football player. I think this guy, Deshaun Singleton, could be the Nebraska defensive player that makes it all Big Ten team, let's say team 1 or team 2. I don't know about team 1. The Big Ten is absolutely loaded in safeties, right? They got Corey Perch, Minnesota, Caleb Downs, Oregon State, Dylan Thieneman. I mean, my God, they're stacked. But Deshaun Singleton, 45 solo tackles last year, 71 combos, a tackling machine, getting up at the line of scrimmage, helping out the linebackers. So, again, the defense might even take a little bit of a step back, while the offense, in my opinion, will take 2 steps forward. I think Nebraska is going to be better than they were last year because the offense is going to go 2 steps ahead, defense going to take a step or maybe a half a step backwards. This is Nebraska Cornhuskers football schedule for 2025. As we've talked about it, Thursday night, Cincinnati in Nebraska. Now, Thursday night, I'm going to have to do a double watch party. Of course, I gotta have a big game, and then I'm going to have the Gophers against the mighty Buffalo Bulls, of course. But Cincinnati and Nebraska might be the watch party game that is the main one. I did a lot of double watch parties last year. I'm going to do a lot of double watch parties this year. I did some triple watch parties, doing 3 games at one time. We may have to do that again this year. Akron, Michigan is the first Big Ten game. Michigan State, Maryland at Minnesota, which I think happens to be the most important game on the schedule for Nebraska. I think that is a swinging gate game. Minnesota has beaten Nebraska 5 straight years. I think Nebraska has got to get over this mental hump, adversity. Beat Minnesota in Minnesota, then you've got Northwestern, USC at home, UCLA, you're going to be favored, setting up those 2 big games, Penn State and Iowa. It's the Minnesota game. To me, is Nebraska going to finally answer the bell? To me, that's more important than Michigan. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. I think Nebraska goes 8-4. With a better chance of going 9-3 than 7-5. What do you guys think? Put down your comments. Put down your comments in the comments section and let me know. That is your Nebraska Spotlight. I hope you enjoyed it. Tomorrow we're going to be doing another spotlight on another team. We've been doing this for over a month. We're going to continue to do it. And this is how we get ready for the college football season. We've been talking so much football during the off season. It's great. I love it because we're going to be ready on week 0. We are going to be ready here at Peek Around the Corner. And so will the PATC geniuses in the family. Let's set the table. This is a great column by Brandon Marcello earlier today. Alabama's playoff outlook. Texas protection for Arch Manning among the 2025 SEC Media Days burning questions. We're going to go through this real quick. Okay? Setting the table for the Southeastern Conference. It's the Media Days this week. Alabama. Can Kalen DeBoer get the Tide into the CFP? What do you guys think? I don't have them in the playoffs. Not yet. I haven't made my official predictions, but in my way too early predictions, I don't have Bama in the playoffs. First year results under Kalen DeBoer weren't unexpected, but still a disappointment for the Tide faithful. The losses to Oklahoma and Michigan near the end of the season were salt in the wound. The quarterback battle, Ty Simpson, Austin Mack. What happens if DeBoer misses the playoff with one of the nation's more talented rosters? Arkansas. Can Sam Pittman survive again? Arkansas leads the Southeastern Conference in defections via the transfer portal over the last 2 seasons, and the lack of consistency has the Razorbacks poised for disappointment against one of the most demanding schedules in the country. Taylon Green is underrated, but the quarterback needs a lot of help to keep the Hogs above water. Auburn. We did a spotlight on Auburn. Is Jackson Arnold the missing piece to the Tigers puzzle? Could be. I do like Eric Singleton. I love that transfer from Georgia Tech. I love that transfer for Jackson Arnold. Seeing the Freeze offense struggle at quarterback the last 2 years is dumbfounding. That must change this fall. The Florida Gators. Every single day, every single week, as the summer moves forward, I get more and more optimistic about the Florida Gators. Am I crazy? Am I crazy or am I crazy like a fox? The Florida Gators. Will DJ Legway lead the Gators back to prominence? I think I'm starting to fall in love. I think I'm starting to fall in love with the Gators. Don't worry, Gator Nation. Don't worry, because this year it is not Greg the Cold. It is Greg the Gold. Billy Napier saved his job with a pair of surprising upsets late last season. Quarterback DJ Legway blossomed into a potential superstar along the way. I love their running backs. I love their dual running backs. Eugene Wilson, I think he's going to come back after that hip injury. The Florida Gators are going to be in the hunt. The Georgia Bulldogs. Did Georgia fix his problem at wide receiver? I don't think so. But I do have Georgia in the playoffs. I have Georgia in the playoffs. I don't have them winning the SEC, but I got them in the playoffs. Too much talent. But Zachariah Branch is not going to resolve the issues at UGA. Kentucky. Oh boy. No. Will Calzada lead the Wildcats back to a bowl game? No. It's going to be a brutal season for the Kentucky Wildcats. LSU. Is the defense capable of winning a championship? It's going to come down to that defense because that offense is going to be spectacular. Defensive end Patrick Payton, Tamarcus Cooley, A.J. Hawley are the cornerstones for a potential turnaround. We talked about Whit Weeks returning as well. LSU, they're going to be in the playoffs. Even if they lose to Clemson, the LSU Tigers are going to get to the college football playoffs, and at that time, they should be a very tough out. Ole Miss, is it a rebuild or a reload in 2025? I think it's going to be a rebuild. I think Ole Miss, I think the Rebels are the most overrated team in the Southeastern Conference this year. I think the chances of Ole Miss getting into the playoffs are slim to none, and Slim and the fat guy from Minnesota just left town. I was not impressed with Ole Miss last. I know they had a 9-3 record. Blah, 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 blah. They were not a playoff team. This year, they're not going to be a playoff team either. Now, getting Stribling, the Washington State Cougar receiver in the portal, that's pretty good. But no. I want to watch the new quarterback, Mr. Simmons. I want to watch him play a full year. We'll see what they have in 2026. Mississippi State is the least short on the Bulldogs. Jeff Lebby's got a lot of pressure, and he's only been there for 1 year. They went 2-10. 2-10. I don't know, man. I don't think Jeff Lebby is going to survive year 2 at Mississippi State. Missouri is the most interesting team in the Southeastern Conference. Them and Oklahoma. Mizzou don't blow you away with its offense last season, but the veteran leadership helped lead the Tigers in key moments. 7 new starters step in this fall. Several positions. Bo Pribula, look out. He's got all the physical talent in the world. People are going to be surprised when Pribula lines up behind center, goes back to pass, there's an all-out blitz, and he takes off. Look out. Look out. Missouri is going to be very interesting. And here is Oklahoma, another very interesting team with John Mateer, with Jaden Ott as the running back. John Mateer comes to Norman with his offensive coordinator from Washington State, Ben Arbuckle. Oklahoma, very interesting. Oklahoma and Michigan. Oklahoma in Michigan in the non-conference season. John Mateer, who knows his offense backwards and forwards and backwards, side to side. He knows it all. And you got Bryce Underwood, true freshman quarterback. I think Michigan might be in a little trouble early in that game, early in the season. South Carolina, the Gamecocks, Lenore Sellers. Is he capable of becoming the Southeastern Conference best quarterback? No. Is he capable of being the top 4 quarterbacks? Absolutely yes, and I think he's going to be there by the end of the season. He blossomed into a superstar last season for the Gamecocks, scoring 25 total touchdowns with his arm and hard running style. Tennessee, you must be from Tennessee because you're the only 10 I see. What are they going to look like without Nico Ama leaving on a jet plane? I don't know, man. Joey Aguilera, I do not know. He's played a lot of football. Thrown over 6,700 yards. Josh Heupel's offense with Joey Aguilar, I don't know how it's going to work. We're going to have to find out together. I do not have Tennessee in the playoffs. Texas Longhorns. Currently, my national champions for 2025. I have them in the championship game against Clemson. And for now, I have the Longhorns winning it. All eyes on Arch Manning. But should we be more focused on what Manning is looking out at in front of him, the offensive line? The Longhorns replaced 4 starters in the trenches. That opener against the Buckeyes is going to be big. And of course, we're going to be doing a watch party during that game. PATC watch party. Longhorns versus the Buckeyes. Texas A&M. Will the Aggies defense be okay on the edge? Mike Elko has taken over the play calling duties this season. Now that is an interesting part of the story in Aggie land. Vanderbilt. They were a surprise team last year. Are they going to be a better team this year? We know the story of Diago Pavia, a very confident quarterback, kind of popped off during the offseason, much like Thomas Castellanos of Florida State. Diago Pavia saying big things. Can he back it up? And that is your SEC. We're setting the table. We are setting the table for SEC. Ryan Willie, Great. Will you do a spotlight on Wisconsin and how they'll shock the college football world? Yes, I will be doing it. I will be doing a spotlight on every single team before the start of the season. We've already done a lot of them, but we have not done the evil Badgers yet. We will get to them. Again, when we talk Wisconsin, the first thing you think about going into the season is that football schedule. It is absolutely brutal. If Fickle can survive this season, then maybe Wisconsin is on to something. But it is going to be mighty difficult. Ryan Willie, we will do a spotlight on Wisconsin. I promise you. We will. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you so very much. Kentucky is a bowling school. Gold Dog Sick'em. Mizzou is always overrated. I don't know. They won 10 football games last year, and barely anybody had them winning 10. I did. I think I did. I had Missouri just barely missing out on the playoffs last year. Greg has a weakness for toxic relationships. Who really cares about Nebraska anyways? Well, I do. Because we cover everything in college football, because we love everything in college football. Vanderbilt is killing it. I was surprised how much Greg chewed us out. Who did I chew out? When did I chewed you guys out last week. I recognize that. I don't think I chewed USC out though. I could be wrong. Okay, we got a couple more stories to get to. Thank you for your super chat, Ryan Willie. Thank you so much for your generosity. I do appreciate it so very much. Thank you so very much. Okay. So, I was talking here at the beginning of the show about PATC's solution to the college football playoffs. And I only try to fulfill two requirements when I produce this. Number one, I'm trying to get all Power 4 conferences to sign on the dotted line. I'm trying to find the sweet spot. I'm trying to thread the needle. That's number one. I'm not looking at, great, this is not fair. Great, whatever. I am trying to get everybody to sign on the dotted line. Number one. Number two, this college football playoff format has to produce a more valuable regular season for everybody. And I think I have done such the deed. Henry Clay, the great compromiser, move on over, because the fat guy from Minnesota has taken your spot here in modern America, because we're talking about the college football playoffs, trying to get everybody on board. Here is my plan. Be patient. Be patient. I know you're going to scoff at it right away, but be patient. Let me go through it. Please let me go through it. Here we go. PATC's college football playoff solution. 18 team playoffs. Yeah, not 16, 18. Not 14, not 16, not 20, 18. The Southeastern Conference auto bids, 4. The Big Ten auto bids, 4. The ACC auto bids, 3. The Big 12 auto bids, 3. The G6 auto bids, 1. At large bids, 3. Now, I know a lot of you are scoffing at it, but let me explain the logic behind this playoff format. The 3 auto bids to the ACC and the Big 12 might get them on board with the auto bid format. I think you've got to give the ACC and the Big 12 at least one play-in game for them to get on board. If we're talking about auto bids, if we're talking about auto bids and all the extra money and all the extra excitement and having more teams be involved in the playoff race later in the season, you've got to give the ACC and the Big 12 a play-in game. Now, look, the ACC and the Big 12, they're either going to have 2 play-in games or 1 championship and a play-in game. And I think everyone's probably going to settle on the same thing. There's going to be a championship game in the Big 12 and the ACC, 1 versus 2. The winner is your conference champion. The loser in your championship game gets an automatic bid. And then you have a play-in game, 3 versus 4. You actually have a play-in game before your conference championship game. You have a lead-in game to your championship game. The excitement of who's going to win between 3 and 4 in the Big 12, 3 and 4 in the ACC, getting to the college football playoffs. But even before that, you have a regular season where you know if you're going to get in the top 4, a top quarter of the conference in the Big 12. So if you're in 7th place, 8th place with 2 weeks to go in the season, more than likely you're still going to have a mathematical shot to get into the Big 12 playoff game. Same thing in the ACC. More teams are involved. More teams, more regular season games with more value are involved in the auto bid format. Much better explained by Joe Klatt, Josh Pate than I could ever say, and even Tony Petitti. But I do not think you're going to get an ACC or Big 12 buy-in unless you give them a bleeping play-in game. So the ACC's got to get 3. The Big 12's got to get 3. Now, that might get them on board. I'm not done yet. 3 at-large bids might get SEC on board, as they will not be capped at 4 playoff berths. This is the problem with this 16-team playoff. I can't believe I'm saying this. And everybody, every single person in the PATC chat room is going to unsubscribe to the most unpopular college football YouTube channel in the country after I say what I'm about to say. 16 is not enough. It's not enough. You got to have 3 at-large bids. The SEC conference don't want to be capped at 4. And guess what? The Big 12 and the ACC, they don't want to be capped at 3. The Big 10 don't want to be capped at 4. You want your loser of your play-in game to possibly have a chance to get into the college football playoffs. The Big 12 and the ACC want their 4th or maybe even 5th place team in the conference to get a shot at the college football playoffs if everything falls right. The Big Ten 3 versus 6 playing game. If the third seed loses, they might still, maybe not, still squeeze in to the college football playoffs. I think the 3 at-large bids is a must to get the Southeastern Conference on board to any out-of-bid format. I think the 3 at-large bids might even be a must to get the Big 12 and the ACC on board to the college football playoffs. Now I get it. ACC and the Big 12 saying, well, why, Greg? Okay, this is better, but why do we still have one less out of bid than the SEC and the Big 10? Again, this format is not for, this ain't the perfect equitable playoff format. We're going from 12 to 18, and the G6 still only has one auto bid. So again, I'm not saying this is like totally equitable. The Southeastern Conference in the Big Ten holds most of the power. They hold most of the championships. I just don't think they're going to go for a 3-3-3-3. And I think this format is going to give the ACC and the Big 12 pause to say, let's look at this again. Because in the 5 plus 11, the 7th place team in the Big 12, the 7th place team in the ACC, with 2 weeks left to go in the season, they got no shot. None. Zero. Nada. Zilch. They're done. But in this auto-bid world, you got more teams later in the season. You know your pathway. We're not done yet. This AQ model might get the Big Ten to come off the 9 conference games for everybody's stance. In other words, if you've got this model, if you know that the Southeastern Conference is not going to totally drink the milkshake of the ACC, not totally drink the milkshake of the Big 12, because they've got 3 out of bids each. Everybody knows that the SEC in this format most likely is going to gain at least 2 of the at-large bids. Most likely. Maybe not every year. But that the SEC conference staying at 8 conference games is not as harmful to the other conferences, to be blunt. Notre Dame and UConn finishes in the top 18 playoff selection rankings. They will be afforded a playoff berth. If Notre Dame finishes in the top 18, they get an at-large bid. Same thing with UConn. Notre Dame will be one of the 3 at-large teams. Single buys for teams ranked straight seeding 3 through 8. So you're going to have a straight seeding of 1 through 18. This is what the Southeastern Conference wants. This is what the Southeastern Conference wants. Straight seeding. You got it. Single buys for teams ranked through 3 through 8. And the Southeastern Conference has got to believe they're going to have quite a few of these. Double buys for teams ranked 1 and 2. The top 2 teams in the country. The top 2 conference champions, most likely, maybe a Notre Dame. But most likely the top 2 conference champions are going to get a double bye. And before you scoff at that, they're already been socializing this idea with a 16-team playoff. They've already been through this. Because of scheduling situation we're going to get into. no more than 6 games are going to be played on a Friday, Saturday weekend. The problem with a 16-team playoff in which it's 1 versus 16, 2 versus 15, 3 versus 14, is you got 8 games to schedule, and it's basically impossible. That's why they're looking at a double bye type of buys and double bye type of playoffs. Second round, so there's no more than 6 games, and that will be done in the second round. And we're going to show you how that looks like. Second round games, 10 versus 7, 9 versus 8, will both be played Friday night doubleheader. So not the first round, which we'll get to in a second on how that looks like. The second round, 10 versus 7, 9 versus 8, those 4 teams know in the second week of the playoffs, they're going to be playing a Friday night doubleheader. Okay? They both know Friday night doubleheader. 10 versus 7 at the number 7 ranked campus, 9 versus 8. First round games, 18 versus 11, 17 versus 12, 16 versus 13, 15 versus 14. Straight seeding. It does not matter if you got in as an auto bid. It does not matter if you got in as an at-large. Primarily, this is what the Southeastern Conference wants, and they're going to get this as part of this grand compromise. 18 versus 11, 17 versus 12, 16 versus 13, 15 versus 14. The second round, the winner of 15 versus 14 plays the third ranked team. The winner of 16 versus 13 plays the fourth ranked team. The winner of 17 versus 12 plays the fifth ranked team. The winner of 18 versus 11 plays the sixth ranked team. 10 versus 7, 9 versus 8. So, 10 versus 7, these 4 games on a Friday, Saturday, first weekend. These 6 games, 10 versus 7, 9 versus 8, get played on a Friday night. You got an 11 o'clock Central game, 2:30 Central game, 6:30 Central game, 9:30 Central game. 4 of these games, these are played on Saturday. And then your quarterfinals, the winner of 9 versus 8 plays the number 1 ranked team in the country. Winner of 10 versus 7 plays the number 2 ranked team in the country, coming off a double bye. The winner of 18 versus 11, which played number 6, plays the winner of 15, who played 14 versus number 3, and then the last one. That is your quarterfinals. So, what does this do? Scheduling, it can work. It creates a way more valuable regular season. Unbelievably more, way more. You've got more teams later in the season having a chance, having a possible pathway to the college football playoffs. The Southeastern Conference is getting a lot in this deal. You are. You're getting straight seeding. You're getting a 1 and 2 double bye, which you wanted. A 3 versus 8 single bye. You are getting 3 at-large berths along with your 4 auto bids. And most importantly, the Southeastern Conference can stay at 8 conference games. You can do what you want. You can't drink everybody's milkshake. If you want to stay at 8, you've got it. Compromise. Big Ten, No more bitching about the SEC going to 9 conference games. You've got what you wanted. You've got an auto bid format. No more can people complain that Brett Yormark and Phillips say they can't use the phrase, well, we can't sign on this deal because we're only looked at as half of the other conferences. No. You're getting 3 auto bids. And you might get a 4th. You might get a 5th because of the at-large bids. You're actually going to have a playing game and a championship game. This is way better than a 5+11. This is so much better than a 5. And 3 or 4 years from now, the auto bids can change, depending on what college football looks like. 17 playoff games to decide the national champion. Notre Dame, what are you going to bitch about? What are you going to complain about? All you got to do is finish in the top 18, and you get afforded a berth. Not only that, you can earn a bye. Hell, you can earn a double bye. Everything is given to you on a silver platter. Again, Fighting Irish. This is the solution. From the offices of the next Henry Clay, the fat guy from Minnesota, the great compromiser, this is the solution. Now, everybody's got to get out of the box. Think out of the box. The radical part of this plan is not the auto bids. That's not radical anymore. The radical part of this is we're going to the number of 18. Yes. 1-8. Yes. Oh, great. There's not 18 teams that deserve to go to the playoffs. Great. Come on. Come on. Look at the rankings last year. Who was number 8? Who was number 17? BYU. You don't think BYU deserved to go to the playoffs last year? Really? They at least, now listen to me. Listen, okay. Maybe BYU, you don't think that BYU, don't you think everything would have been a lot more interesting, a lot more dramatic if BYU could have gotten into the Big 12 playing game? At least? To earn, remember you got to earn it on the field, right? To earn that third auto bid for the Big 12? What about the ACC? Look at Miami. Look at them. You don't think Miami being in a playing game to get a berth in the playoffs, Cam Ward, again. Look at the SEC. 4 auto bids. 4 auto bids. Now you got to win your playing game. So the teams that were kind of struggling, Ole Miss and Alabama, they would have gotten in the playoff game. But one of those teams would have had to play the South Carolina Gamecocks. The South Carolina that were coming on strong. You don't think that would have had more drama than ever before? No. I am fully convinced that the 18-team playoffs, 4-4-3-3-1-3 is the solution. So please, PATC geniuses, please, PATC family members, you Einsteins, write your congressmen, write your congresswomen, get a hold of your athletic director, get a hold of your president, get a hold of your commissioner, and tell them, fat guy from Minnesota, watch the live show that happened on July 13th. This is the ultimate solution. Let's get it done. Craig, you're fighting against windmills. Well, have you ever seen a windmill defeat the fat guy from Minnesota? No. Way too complicated. No, it's not. Not really. 16 doesn't get it done, guys. 16 cannot get everybody on board. 16 is not enough. I can't believe I'm saying this, because I love what we have, 12 teams, 16, for everybody to get on board with automatic qualifiers that make the season so much more valuable for everybody. 16 is not enough. The Southeastern Conference is not going to get on board unless there's 3 at-large bids. So you can use all your metrics, throw them in the mix. Get that Google mathematician, whatever, do whatever you want. You need 18. You need 18. You need it. This plan requires moving up the season 1 week. Absolutely, Ed Cook. Get it done, Ed Cook. We are going to give you that responsibility. Get it done, Grateful Trojan. There are parts I agree with Greg, but I have strong issues with the others. Let it marinate, Grateful Trojan. Let it marinate. The SEC ain't going to get what it wants. The SEC is not going to get everything that they want. In this plan, they get a lot. They get a lot. No, the SEC will not have to go to 9 under this plan. See, I'm being the great compromiser. I'm taking, I'm giving, I'm pushing, and I'm pulling. D5 Terps, whatever gives me a reason to order wings and watch football during the holidays. Greg is fearing the cheeseburger. No comment. No comment. Seems to me your plan kisses Stanley's posterior with him, no giving a damn thing. I think you meant Sankey. Yes, he is giving up. The Southeastern Conference is giving up something here. 6 auto bids to the Big 12 and the ACC instead of 4. But they get stuff in return. Stay at 8. 3 at-large bids. You only can do that with an 18-team playoff. 18 is the secret number. It is the number that cures everything. The number 1-8. The number 1-8. Greg, you're playing games and bigger playoffs only create on. They're going to get paid a lot of money, BYU. They're going to get paid a lot of money. Look, if you want to get paid, you got to create interest. If everybody wants all these players to make money, you got to create the money. This doesn't fall from trees. And by the way, some of this money is going to go to your athletic departments and help out with the rev share. It's a give and take. Greg's big fat playoff idea. Beautiful. Beautiful. Greg, if you're the Big Ten, the SEC, you wouldn't give up any more AQs. Get them on board, baby. Get them on board. Get them on board. You get a double bye for your conference champion. You get a single bye 3 through 8. Get everybody on board. Let's go. Let's go. Okay. One more thing we got to get to has been. Greg kisses ring of Notre Dame and Greg Stanley. Sankey. I'm not kissing nobody. I am not kissing anybody. Why aren't you saying I'm kissing Tony Petiti? He gets what he wants. You guys want to give Southeastern Conference everything. 5 plus 11. That's what they really want. No, I'm not kissing nobody. Although this does help Notre Dame even more. I will grant you that. But just a little bit more. Thank you, Mila Stevens. Somebody in the chat room has their elevated thinking going on here, and that is Mr. Stevens. Doesn't this 18-game automatic qualifying playoff still have the same issues for the Big 12? No. Nope. Big 12 gets 3 AQs. They actually get a play-in game in this. They get a championship game and a play-in game. Not only that, but there's still 3 at-large bids. So the loser of that play-in game can make the playoffs. Or maybe that 5th place team can make into the playoffs. If there was a tiebreaker between 5 and 4. No, the 18-team playoffs is better than the 16 for the Big 12. Nope. 18 is the perfect number, Christopher Hooter. Sleep on it. Sleep on it. There's one genius in the chat. How long did it take Greg to come up with this idea? I was eating a hamburger without cheese. I was eating a hamburger. No cheese in sight. And I said to myself, I got to come up with a plan. I got to push a plan so I don't have to eat that horrific abomination of a cheeseburger in front of the camera. I got to come up with something. So when that happens, when your back up is against the wall, when you are so close to having to do something that could destroy you, eating a cheeseburger, I had to come up with a plan. So the lights finally came on, and this is it. This is it. Okay. Let's go to our final story of the day. And then we'll get to your phone calls. Thank you, Ryan, Willie, and Has Been for your donations. Appreciate it so much. Thank you for your support. Money Train, UAE. A door has been opened to peek around the corner. A door has been opened. So this is what we know. Allegedly. 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 We've talked about it, how there is big money trying to get into the college football space, the college sports space, but we're going to focus on college football. This is a national college football YouTube channel. All of this is allegedly. To any lawyer that's watching this, all of this is allegedly. We are not going to name names. UAE, how do I start this? Big 12. Let's start there. The Big 12 looked at a possible private capital, private equity deal, and then they hit the pause button. Before they hit the pause button, it was reported that there was like 3 leading contenders, and Redbird Capital was the favorite to get it. We've also heard that the Big Ten had 4 private equity firms, gave them a presentation about a private equity deal. That it could involve the Big Ten giving up a certain percentage of Big Ten Incorporated to the private equity firm. There was also reports that the SEC has had meetings with Goldman Sachs. We know that North Carolina has wanted to talk private equity, private capital. They wanted Washington, they wanted Florida State and Clemson to get out of the courts. All that stuff happened. Compromise all around. Massive victory for the Seminoles and the Tigers. There's been word that Boise State is looking at a private equity deal. There's word that Elevate might have some private capital deals, a line of credit possibly to a couple of schools. possibly up to 6 before the college football season. This has all been reported in public. There is something that everybody seems to be waiting on. The private equity, the invasion of private equity, the invasion of private capital. However the deals finally end up. We all know that we talked about it for months, how the House NCAA settlement, how that had to happen first before they could get on to the next stage of this private equity invasion into college sports. It sounds like, while there might be some other plans out there, one big major plan, something needs to happen first. It was explained to us. And it might not just affect the Big 12. It could be affecting the Big 10. Both conferences. Who knows? Maybe even the ACC and the SEC. We have no information on that. Skydance Media is owned by a guy named, I believe, Greg Ellison, the son of Larry Ellison. Skydance Media is trying to merge with Paramount Global. It looks like it's getting close to being a done deal. Paramount Global is the parent company to CBS. And we're going to be focusing on CBS Sports. So this merger that I think a lot of people thought was going to happen months ago, but there was some back and forth between the Trump administration and CBS. That has been resolved. So the dance is back on. This merger would have to get approved, but the Skydance Media merger with Paramount Global seems to be a very big deal for college sports. At least this is what has been told. A door was opened to us yesterday. The interesting part is Redbird Capital is part owner is going to be part owner of what is Redbird Capital is going to be part owner of Skydance Paramount Global when the merger is done. Skydance Paramount Global. And CBS Sports is part of it. Redbird Capital, we have been told when this door opened to us yesterday, again, it was reported that they were the leading candidate. I don't know. Ultimately, I don't know if it was reported in public that they were the leading candidate for the Big 12 to get a deal done with the Big 12. We have been told yesterday that Redbird Capital has also been one of those trying to get the Big 10 in some way, in some fashion. We were told, allegedly, that Redbird Capital has had many talks on many different levels. At a school level, with ACC schools, at a school level in the Big 10, at a school level in the Big 12, and of course at a conference level. And we have been told that they're completely type of different deals, and a school could have a school level deal and be part of the conference that has a much bigger conference level deal with the private equity firm like Redbird Capital. So they can both exist in the same space in theory. But Redbird Capital has been all over the place. There is a part of Redbird Capital. There is a part of Redbird Capital that is Redbird Capital, and I'm paraphrasing. I'm being very vague here. There's a part of Redbird Capital that I'm going to call Redbird Capital Sports Acquisitions. Sports Asset Acquisitions. Now, you're not going to find that name. I don't think you're going to find that name after you Google it, whatever. I'm being very vague. You know, there's investors. You can see the names of the investors as you're watching this live show. Weatherford, the Florida State former quarterback, whatever. But here's the thing. That part of Redbird Capital, allegedly, the part of Redbird Capital allegedly that is for sports acquisition assets is energized by UAE, certain interest of the United Arab Emirates. And that is why nobody is going to shut the door on any meetings with Redbird Capital. And everybody's had meetings with Redbird Capital. Now, we know the Smash Capital is involved in this super league. As far as we know, we don't believe Redbird Capital. We haven't heard that. But Redbird Capital has been a part of conference level talks with the Big 12, conference level talks with the Big 10, and at least school level talks with ACC schools. And they might have conference level talks now that the ACC, Florida State, and Clemson are out of the courts. There are other things that we were told about this energized, souped up part of Redbird Capital. They have gotten their feet involved in a lot of different sports all over the world. And they want in to the second most valuable sport property in this country, and that is college football. And most likely they're going to find their way in by hook or by crook at some point. So the money train, it's UAE. Now, could there be other stuff going on? Of course there could be. We didn't have the door open to us. But after talking and poking and prodding for months, we know that UAE allegedly, we know this allegedly, wink, wink, nod, nod, allegedly, UAE is a player in this new field of partnerships with these conferences. We gave you all the peek around the corner about 7 weeks ago, that every one of these, especially the Big 10, the Southeastern Conference, but even the Big 12, it was reported just a couple of days ago. We carried that report here at Peek Around the Corner, that these conferences are looking for a market, global market. They're going to push their brand globally, and they need another partner to get it done. They need the expertise. They need the cash. And that is what they're all looking at. Beyond their current relationships with their current media partners, they're looking for that third partner to push their brand globally. And the ones that are talking to the Big Ten, the ones that are talking to the SEC, the ones that are talking to the Big 12, we don't have any information. I'm sure it's happening with the ACC. We just don't have it. This is the plan, to push it internationally. And the money is going to come with it. And the connections and the expertise and the sponsorships. The sponsorships that are hanging out there internationally that is ready to come in and flood the American market, to flood with Big 10, SEC, Big 12, and most likely ACC, that extra sponsorship that's going to be hooked into this, that is going to be helped to pay for whatever substantial cash infusion these conferences are going to get. The money train right now leads to UAE. I don't think I've ever brought up the United Arab Emirates before on this channel. I know a lot of people on this YouTube, the comments in the comments section over the last couple of years, and people on other YouTube channels talk about the Saudi money. But what was told to us was the United Arab Emirates money, UAE. And there's a lot of it. And they are completely convinced that this is the sport market that is most undervalued. So that is the information that we have provided for you today. Very vague, but more than I think anyone else is out there willing to say or can say or do know enough to say. When we get more into this private equity, private capital situation, UAE, Redbird Capital, I believe, allegedly, is going to be a major player. But let me warn everybody this. I said this before, I'm going to say it again. There might be another pause. There might be another pause. There might be a no. But eventually this is getting in. How does it get in? What is the structure? Of course I don't know. But it is going to come in. So buckle up, brace for impact, stay with this YouTube channel as we cover the story, what is out there publicly, and what is being said in some circles privately, because that is what we just told you. Okay, we're going to open up the phone lines. You can talk about the spotlight we had on the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Starting with Dylan Raiola, Emmett Johnson, Dan Key, the transfer from Kentucky, Ja'Cory Barney, Deshaun Singleton. You can talk about Nebraska. You can talk about your own football team. You can talk about anything you like here. Throw it down with me. Tell me that my college football playoffs format solution is not a solution at all. Let me know how wrong I got it once again. The phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Give us a call. Give us a call. What is the holdup? We've talked about it. It's the one major part of the holdup is in regards to the UAE money is the Skydance Media Paramount merger. Paramount Global. That merger has not happened yet. It has not been approved yet. That is one of the big holdups.
Call from
Evil Badger.
Evil Badger, the floor is yours. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right, Greg. Thanks for taking my call.
You got it, buddy.
I have one possible theory to why the Big 12 is all for the 5+11.
Got it.
How soon do you think Sankey will retire from the SEC?
What was that?
Do you think Sankey will retire soon from being commissioner from the SEC?
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time understanding. Who's going to retire?
How soon do you think Sankey would retire from being commissioner?
I don't know. I don't know how long he wants to continue to do what he's doing. I have no idea. Do you have a theory on it, or?
I think Yormark wants Sankey's job.
Yormark wants Sankey's job. So that's your theory. You think Yormark is doing the bidding of the Southeastern Conference schools, so the presidents will hire him once Sankey steps down. Very interesting.
That's my theory.
Mm-hmm. All right.
What do you think?
I don't think so. I don't think so, but who knows? I mean, conference commissioners have changed jobs before. I mean, there's been conference commissioners that have been a commissioner of a conference and gone to another conference, but I don't think so. I think the Southeastern Conference is going to have lots and lots of very credible and very good candidates to choose from. I don't think they'll grab Brett Yormark.
Well, from what I understand, Yormark has changed jobs quite often.
Yes, he has. Now, he just signed an extension, however.
All right, well, that was my theory on why the Big 12 is for the 5+11.
Yeah.
That's all I had, Greg.
Well,
thanks for taking my...
Yeah, you got it. Appreciate the phone call, my man.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Now, if Ryan Willie and the rest of you would just get on the phone, send letters to the commissioners, tell them to watch college football's peek around the corner, the July 13 edition. Have them watch the program. I think it's the idea to get everybody on board. Sankey wants to see this through, whatever this is. Chris Kinney. Jansen Roberts, BlackRock, and State Street have huge alliances with UAE or UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham.
Call from
CFB Plus.
CFB Plus, thanks for calling. I do appreciate it, sir. The floor is yours.
Okay, so I'm just trying to get all my ducks in a row here in regards to the private equity deal. So, Redbird and was it Skydance?
Skydance Media.
They're Skydance Media. So they're merging, but there was some snags in that merger due to some political red tape.
Skydance Media merging with Paramount Global.
Okay. So with Paramount Global, but Redbird owns a portion of Paramount Global, correct?
Yes. And they would be part owner of Skydance Paramount Global once it becomes a merge. Two companies come as one.
Okay. And then Redbird has some sort of pipeline to Middle Eastern money that could
the Middle Eastern money, the United Arab Emirates money, is in one of Redbird Capital's, I don't know what you call it, one of its segments of the company. So it's
okay.
The people that are interested in sports are in that Redbird. I mean, because Redbird Capital does a lot of things outside of sports, I guess. That's what we were told. And the sports acquisition, asset acquisition. That was the term used to us. Asset acquisition part of it that is where the UAE money is at.
Okay. So, and is there one big holdup in regards to conferences and schools getting into private equity, or are there multiple holdups that is causing a pause?
I think there's multiple holds up. I think
Okay.
I think there's multiple holds up. You got
Okay.
it depending on who you're talking about. I mean, like, for example, a Florida State. I mean, exactly what should they be doing here? Are they interested in it? Because any deal that you get into, right, that's another deal you're going to have to get out of if there is something else that, if there's an invitation that comes your way in a couple of years from now, right? So
Yes.
it's multifaceted. There's a lot of things holding up a lot of things. But, Redbird Capital, one thing I did not know was any connection with Redbird Capital talking with the Big Ten. But I guess they were one of the private equity firms that, yes, have been in talks. So who knows where this is going, sir?
Oh, yeah, who knows? My hypothesis, based on just the information, it sounds like Redbird clearly is very interested in getting into college sports, and I anticipate them specifically getting into college sports at some capacity. It sounds like the merger between Paramount and the Skydance Media needs to happen before any partnership, because I don't know why, but I just think it has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm wondering if conferences are going to pause or wait until the ACC is figured out, because they could use that money, especially now. I may be like looking too into this, but with the sports acquisition side of it, that sounds a lot like acquiring properties, and one could easily just take, or I feel like it's a logical conclusion that if the Big 12 or the Big 10 went with this route, they would use that private equity money to essentially buy out schools from the ACC and add them to their conference. So
it's a possibility. It's a possibility. When I think about Redbird Capital, and there's a part of it for sports asset acquisition, what I'm saying is, I think from the Redbird Capital point of view, that is actually acquiring part of like a conference in college sports, right? Or you know what I'm saying? And then what do they have to do to make that conference more valuable, right? Maybe then they acquire other assets, so which would be conference expansion, could be one of those things. Opening up markets is another. I don't know. I'm not in the business, but it could be more than one thing. It probably is more than one thing.
Well, thank you so much. That is just my hypothesis at the moment. Obviously, things will change, but I appreciate it and appreciate the show.
You got it, buddy. CFB Plus, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Great call. I don't have the answers. I do not have the answers. I just got a lot of questions, but I wanted to put that out there for people to marinate on. PA ain't happening till all the Congress figures it out. That could be another thing, right? Cost certainty. Maybe private equity wants more cost certainty. What is the labor? What is this going to cost?
From
Hello. I did not get the name. Hello. Yep. Call again. Somebody wasn't ready. I don't know how any of this proceeds with so much in limbo with settlement and NIL. Great point, Stormy Cyclone. Everybody's talking though, but can anything get officially done with all this limbo? Boy, it would be difficult.
Call from
Tim.
Tim, thanks for calling, sir. I appreciate it. The floor is yours.
Hey, buddy. This is going back a couple of weeks. I haven't caught your whole show today. I've been trying to get back to you ever since you had the show about the clandestine phone call.
Yeah.
The ACC and the Big 12 were talking to private equity.
Yeah.
Maybe trying to go into a super league. I thought about this from a whole different angle. And just hear me out a minute.
Yep.
Would this not make financial sense for putting together a super league, so to speak? You took the whole ACC, the whole Big 12, and even the new PAC-8, put them all under one. Now, but football would stay the same just as it is now. You wouldn't touch football. They would be their own conference just like it is. But all of the non-revenue sports could then be all under one umbrella. All the teams on the East Coast could play on the East Coast. All the teams on the West Coast could play on the West Coast. All the teams in the middle of the country could stay in the middle. How much money would they save by not having West Virginia, say my team, having to fly clear out to Flagstaff, Arizona for a baseball game or wherever, or a softball game or a volleyball game, or they could just stay and play our old rivals on the East Coast. SMU could stay in the middle of the country. The Cal and Stanford could stay over there and play, against all the old rivals there in the old Pac-12. And I mean, to me, it would just make a lot of sense. And then the football would stay the football. Pac-12 teams would stay. I mean, the Big 12 teams would play only Big 12 teams, and then they're out of conference slate. The ACC would play their regular slate. The Pac-8 would play in their, group of 8 regular slate, and it wouldn't affect the playoffs. It wouldn't affect anything other than their bottom line when they had to set up all of the other non-revenue sports, and it could all be operated under one grand umbrella. You know where I'm going with that?
Yeah. Now this would interesting, but somebody Big 12 ACC, right? That's what you're talking.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Private capitals coming on in here, right? Third party money.
Right. They were wanting to set up a super league. It would all be under the same umbrella.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that could be what the clandestine phone call was all about. At first I did not know. We really did not have an opinion on it, what it could be. We all speculated. Later on, there was a door open to us here at Peek Around the Corner. We reported that we believe it was basically what you are saying, Tim. That it was more like, hey, let's take a look at this idea. We're all under one umbrella. Football, the conferences remain the same, but the other sports go more regional. It's exactly what was told to us, that this probably what this clandestine phone call was all about. So, Tim, I think
that would be a way of increasing your revenue without increasing your revenue. You know what I'm saying?
It would be a way to bring down cost.
Exactly.
But there's going to have to be something else in there for that third party money to come on in, because they're looking to make money. So maybe have a more. I don't know what they can do with that, but I'm sure there's ideas. It would have to involve football.
They would still have all the media rights to all the football. And if they want to do like a scheduling agreement between the Big 12 and the ACC for their non-conference games, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I've said this before. I said, people are in love with the idea of the 70-team Super League. And they say, great. Don't you understand that if you bundle all this content together, you would have all these 70 teams content, you would gain leverage, scarcity, you would have the advantage over the media partners, the potential media partners, you'd have more leverage, you get more money for everybody. Well, if that is the case, would it not also be the case? I don't quite buy totally that, but if that is the case, if you believe in that, wouldn't you believe that it would be better for the Big 12 and the ACC to get together to sell their content, to bundle their content together? Wouldn't that bring about more leverage or more scarcity? If you're going to bring 70 teams together, wouldn't the ACC and the Big 12 getting together, wouldn't that bring on more value if you are a believer in that? So I think that's what you're talking, right, Tim?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. I was more looking at the money. Like, I know that Western University spends a tail load of money on all of our non-revenue sports, just trying to keep trying to stay in the Big 12. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If we were just flying over there, 12 or six times a year to play a football game, would be one thing. But you got 30+ games in basketball and softball and baseball, and you got you're playing in your conference. You got to play everybody. They got to fly over here. We got to fly over there.
Yeah.
It costs a fortune. You can't get on a bus anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're not taking a bus ride to a baseball game anymore. Everything's a plane trip.
Yes, it is. That's absolutely true. Yep.
So if you can find a way to save money, then it's just like increasing your revenue, to me. But you're not going to do that. Nobody's going to bust up their football league, so they spend too much money and too much headache, too much hardship trying to get us where we're at. You know what I'm saying? Playing these leagues. But there's no reason why all of our teams have to play in these leagues.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Great
that's all I
point.
got. I was just thinking about that.
No,
Listen, buddy, I appreciate it.
You got it, buddy. Tim, call again,
Have
sir.
a great one. Yes, sir. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful call, Tim. I appreciate it. We had some great calls. Thank you for the donations. We got a couple of donations today to help us keep the lights on. Has been Ryan, Willie. Thank you guys so very much. We've been on the air for over 2 hours. I think we're going to shut it down. I think it's going to be a very busy week. A lot of interesting questions I think are going to be asked to Greg Sankey at SEC Media Days. Hopefully, Greg Sankey talks about the college football playoffs at least a little bit more. Hopefully, somebody will ask him the question, what about the fat guy from Minnesota's 18-team playoff idea? That ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen. But anyways, we're going to cover everything that comes out of the Southeastern Media Days. Please, please, please subscribe to our channel if you haven't done it yet. And turn on those notifications because we can come on live at any time here at Peek Around the Corner. College football's Peek Around the Corner. We cover the breaking news. We give you a little bit of nugget of information from time to time. We talk a lot of college football. Today was the Nebraska Cornhuskers. The spotlight, the PATC spotlight was on the Cornhuskers. Dylan Raiola, second-year quarterback. I think he's going to have a fantastic season. Emmett Johnson, the Cornhuskers running back room, a little weak. I think they're a little weak. Dane King and Jakari Barney, two excellent wide receivers that are ready to rock and roll with Raiola. I believe it. Deshaun Singleton leads the secondary, Nebraska secondary. I think they got a doable schedule. Again, we covered Nebraska. We covered our college football playoff format idea. If you missed it, go back and watch it. And we talked about the United Arab Emirates. What is that money? What is that plan to change college football allegedly? We're going to keep an eye on that story and others here at Peek Around the Corner. Stay with us, please. I do very much appreciate it. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please, y'all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.